All right, hello everybody. Welcome to another episode of Community Outbreak. My name's Greg Henniger. I'm your community manager on Just Survive. And Ben, you guys have met Ben before. Ben, you want to say hi?
Hi, how is everyone? Good to see you.
Now
What's up, chat?
we have another member of the Just Survive team who has not been on any of these streams before, but he's been with Sony Online / Daybreak for a long time. Justin.
long time.
Yes.
How's it going, everybody? Thanks for watching.
Want to give a little backstory, what brought you to SOE, titles you've worked on?
Absolutely, yeah. I've been with the company since 2009. I came out from the East Coast, left a life of banking behind, and got into game development.
You made the right choice.
I completely agree. Completely agree. Since then, I have worked on Clone Wars Adventures. I was responsible for the combat and battle classes features, along with a number of different mini games.
Nice.
Did some work on Free Realms, a little bit of EverQuest franchise work, and some work on Landmark on mostly the AI. And from there, I've been on Just Survive since late summer last year.
Okay, sweet.
Yep.
What do you do on Just Survive specifically right now? Are you working
What
on?
doesn't Justin do?
Yeah, for real, right?
Swizzle.
Well, Ben makes me get him coffee and
Burrito runs.
yeah, totally.
Very thirsty.
So I'm a senior designer with a focus on systems design.
Nice.
So the bulk of my work is about building the underlying systems that support the different activities in the game. That includes stuff like itemization, crafting systems, how AI interacts with different aspects of the world.
Mm-hmm.
And that is combined with a lot of support work on the live product right now as well. Working toward that.
We've been in kind of the fix-it stage.
We
right?
absolutely have. Yeah, we've been working very studiously toward that polish goal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I know when you came on the team, what was like one of the first things you tackled? Or I think you went through all the different items and the weights and things like that. Like
yeah. I've got a really large Excel spreadsheet that Ben makes fun of from time to time. But
I mean, it's incredibly in depth. Honestly, it's a service to you guys. Like the amount of itemization that we're focused on right now in Justin's spreadsheet is remarkable.
Yeah, I spreadsheet good, maybe.
Yeah, mad spread skills.
Nice.
Wait.
Well, welcome to the stream, Justin.
Thank you very much. I'm excited to be here.
You guys are going to be seeing a lot more of Justin in the future, and Ben. Landon is out today, so he's not going to be hanging out with us today. But we do have Bruce Lee Rob here.
Hello.
Hey. How's it going, dude? I saw a couple flexes.
Yeah, man, they were
flexes in the
calling for the
chat.
flex. I had to drop
Give him the
one
flex,
on my
baby.
ninja
There
squad.
you go.
Making us all look awful.
Yeah, right?
I'm so weak.
No.
I know. I need to try. So how can people find you?
People can find me on Twitch. I'm a partnered broadcaster. I've been streaming for about 2 years, and I've finally found my home with this new and fresh dev team, really supporting this game. And I'm really excited for the future of H1Z1. So if you want to follow me on Twitter, BruceyRob1, and I am the leader of the Ninja Squad.
The Ninja Squad. Awesome.
Yes.
What up, Ninja Squad?
What's up, ninjas?
So when did you jump in like right when the game first came out, or because I know you took a little bit of a break there
Right.
and then jumped in once
Right,
these guys kind of joined the team.
Yeah.
So what's your history with H1Z1 and Just
So I
Survive?
used to play a lot of DayZ.
Mhm.
I'm really into the survival, genre. And when H1Z1 came out, I was like, cool. There's base building. There's a lot of different dynamics that DayZ doesn't really offer. So I played the game here and there, and then once I started killing people and they started reanimating and eating themselves, like their ribs.
Zombies.
I kind of had to take my space. But with the new dev team, it's a breath of fresh air. So
Awesome,
I'm back
dude.
and
Sweet.
10 hours a day
Awesome.
on Twitch.
10
Yes,
hours
that's
a
awesome,
day on
man.
Twitch.
10 hours a day, the grind.
That is awesome.
All right. Who's Mike?
Oh, Bruce's mic
Just a
probably.
little
Yeah.
closer.
So quiet.
All right.
guys. Hello.
Hey.
Whoa,
oh my God,
hey
that's
there.
good.
Hello.
All right, well, we have some pretty awesome stuff to show you guys today. We're going to be talking about the Melee revamp, a little bit about base building, a little surprise at the end, so hang in there. So let's just kind of get right into it. Let's kick it over to Ben, who has the clicker.
Yeah, so before I start this, I'll just preface it by saying that with Melee, it's just like every other feature that we're going to be implementing in the game in the near future. We kind of take a procedural approach to it, right? So we fix the stuff that we can. That's what we've been working on the last couple of months.
Yep.
And then we implement towards levels of quality thereafter, right? So Melee, as you guys know, in this game, it's been jank for a long time, right? It's not very responsive. So we've wanted to do a lot to improve that. And that'll continue to happen over time. But we wanted to share some of the first steps with you guys today, and the big one is a huge engineering hurdle. So we've kind of moved away from what was once hit scan detection, and basically that's, if you can see the reticle on the screen, that's where you're going to hit. And we've moved from that to what's known as a swept sphere check. And I'll move away from the technical discussion to just say, like, now there's a giant sphere attached to your weapon, and it moves with you. So anything that the sphere hits, that is what your melee weapon will hit. And this is great in terms of, like, oh, it gives you a little bit more freedom and flexibility. You know, if I swing close like I just did there, I can still hit the zombie without having to be right on top of them. But it also does something really nice, which is allow you to target multiple targets at once, right? So in this instance, we've got a bunch of zombies in a grip, and you can see that depending on the swing, he's either hitting 1, 2, 3, or all 5 of them. So you'll notice that, like, obviously, like, the reactions on some of this stuff isn't exactly where we want it to be, and that's okay, because those are things that we're looking to improve, right? So hit reactions, better blood splatter, better zombie effects, goes hand in hand with the other things we're working on right now too, like the movement that'll probably roll out very soon. All these improvements are going to make zombies push towards what we expect to be a credible threat, right? When you see a zombie, we want you to care about it, and that's what we're pushing for. So yeah, some of the steps that we're taking here. Justin, as we kind of step through the different weapons that he's targeting the zombies with, can you kind of talk about the itemization as it relates to weapon tiers that you're going through?
Absolutely, yeah. In the process of beginning a re-itemization, we're going to be putting the melee items into categories based on what they are, and then giving them an identity and a kind of a signature feel based on whether or not it's a quick, possibly lower damaging weapon versus something that is a huge, heavy weapon that's going to take a little longer to swing, but it's going to do a lot of damage if it ends up hitting you. With an eye toward that, some of the tech behind this will be able to change its shape slightly depending on the weapon. So if you have a machete, it's going to have kind of a square shape attached to it, and that's going to be where it hits. So whether I hit you here or back this way, it's going to actually end up making contact and registering a valid hit. Whereas on an axe, that shape is going to end up sitting at the edge of it on the blade. So that's going to enable us to, in addition to making these weapons actually function in a in a way that feels really good, give them some unique identity within these different categories.
Awesome.
Based on where you hit somebody, is it going to do more damage? Say you hit somebody in the head with a combat knife and shank them in Romero's, are they going to take more damage?
Well, the head damage is definitely something that I think is important for the zombie genre, right? Because zombies are absolutely more vulnerable in their mushy brains. So we're going to make sure that when you hit them there, that you do in fact do more damage. As for more body-specific damage, it is definitely something that we're investigating. I'm not 100% sure how it fits within the tech yet and whether or not it's something we'll move forward with. But ultimately, the decision is going to be made as to whether or not it really improves the gameplay experience. And that's something that will probably inevitably land on Ben's shoulder to decide.
Yes.
The decider.
This is going to be a big improvement. Also, when we get back to having to be surrounded by zombies, just hitting multiple zombies at once in an arc, I think is a thing that got me most excited.
I mean, you can see it here, right? The difference is huge, especially when you're attracted by groups, or even, if you're in PvP and you're surrounded by a group in close corridors, now melee is actually going to be a viable option, which is especially important for players who are just getting started or have recently respawned, right? Their access to melee weapons is increased, so we want to make sure that those are viable as much as they can be.
Nice. All right. If you guys have any questions specifically about the melee system, feel free to drop them in chat. Does first person, what was that?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's an improvement we can definitely make.
So the question was, does first person show the melee weapon?
Oh yes, of course.
The
fact
fact
to
that
actually say the question.
The fact that you can't,
I had no idea what you're using.
the fact that you can't see that is actually an issue. It's a bug right now that we're gonna squash.
Yeah, I think it's really important. Like, especially for first-person perspective, it's important to understand where your weapon is at all times, right? So, yeah, that's something that we look to address as well. And again, like all this stuff with melee is incremental, right? Like we fix as many things we can and roll it out to you guys to get testing and feedback on it, so we can make it better over time. And as we do that, the layers of polish will just continue to roll in and increase. So. Yeah. That's the direction that we're headed.
Let's give a shout out to all our test server players.
Yes, thank you guys.
The amount of feedback we've gotten from you guys has been incredible and extremely helpful. So thank you, everyone who's on there giving us feedback.
It's awesome. And those of you who haven't had a opportunity to jump on test, please do so. Especially, I mean, I think people can attest right now. There are a lot of people in chat that I see on test all the time. Like, it's a very different environment right now. All the stuff that we're rolling out to you guys very soon is pretty much live on test. And we need feedback on that to ensure that it's working properly and is up to your standards. So please jump in when you can. Send us feedback. It's really, really appreciated.
Yeah, what are some of the more bigger ticket items that are on test that people can check out?
Man, there's a bunch. I think, from my perspective, I'm sure Justin can share some too, but I think the lighting improvements are huge, right? Like actually having true darkness in interiors at night and actually making the flashlight viable is really big. I mean, this is a survival game, right? So, I mean, like night should be a scary time, right? Yep. So we'll continue to balance those things over time and get better values there as we work with the system, but creating concrete values for different times of day and then transitioning in nicely so players get a good variety, I think is really important. And damn, interiors are scary now, right?
Yeah,
like,
they really are.
It actually puts a lot of value on that flashlight. So, those are areas where like, oh, like lights are important now. Let's add a lot of those and make them interesting. So that's really exciting for me. What about for you, Justin?
I mean, I think the biggest thing for me is if we don't want to talk about the cumulative, just volume of fixes we have there. There's over 100 different bug fixes and optimizations queued up for this next update, which we don't have a time frame on yet. But the most exciting thing for me is zombie pathing. The fact that zombies are moving more realistically now, they don't get caught on the curb when you're stepping up from the street to the sidewalk. They can actually follow you up hills, stuff like that. I think that's probably one of the most exciting things for me. So they're more of a threat, which is great.
So for some people who probably don't know what they're looking at here, what is this general testing zone, right?
Justin, you want to talk about this?
This is our this is our dev test zone, and we have.
People are like, they love doors.
Yeah,
like
parked. Well,
Inc.
this is just one area.
Monsters
Parked
Inc.
throughout. Each door leads to a mysterious universe. No, actually, it's we've basically got one of everything placed in this zone in various locations, and it saves a lot of time when you need to test something. You go in and you go to the location you need to be at. You just pick up what you want to test. Also, it's a zone with a minimal amount of different behaviors running. So when we need to do debugging on particular AI activities or different types of behaviors in furnaces and stuff like that, this is the place to do it because there's minimal noise from other objects.
Well, right, and we don't want to do it in live because we know you guys would come up and like shank us, right? So important to have a test environment where we can do things safely.
That's a fair point. Yeah, we are totally safe here usually. So
People stream snipe in this game?
No.
Stream type.
never,
testing.
right?
Dang.
Never.
It's unheard of.
All right, awesome. You guys, any more Melee questions in the chat? I know you guys have a lot of other questions, but we're talking about Melee today, and then we'll talk about base building. So let's keep some of those questions more centered around that topic.
Yeah, I think everyone's going to be super excited about the Melee. Super excited. It's been broken for a while. I'm sick of trying to hit somebody like 5 times, and then they're just boom right in the face with the shotgun. So I'm excited.
Yeah, no, that's a big improvement. So I think we can successfully move on to our next topic.
Sweet.
Which I think a lot of people are going to be really excited to hear, is the base building and strongholds. So if you guys have heard, in the last time we had our chat live stream, let me go back to the main camera. We showed off that piece of concept art that kind of had the 3 stages, wood and then a little more modular and some stone.
Yep.
Let's just get right into the first video. I think that will that'll lead people in.
Sure. So what we wanted to share with you guys today is mock-up using all our new base building pieces, right? So this is done out of the world just to show you a really good perspective, and we can build this really quickly. It's easier to show in this person. So we're going to show you some, right? So we have full walls, half walls, different sizes floors, different kinds of cover, all these elements that you can build into your base in any way that you want, and it'll be a viable and safe platform, right? So that's really what we wanted to do, and you can see here that there's a number of different portals, right? This is really important for defending your base. So we have these windows that they'll have shutters on them that you can manipulate yourself and open and close. Open up the window, get a couple shots in, close it, move to a new position. That's going to be a huge change. And the same goes for the doors on your base, right? Like you have gates that are actually the best part with that is that they'll move inside themselves, right? We're not looking at these giant sweeping things anymore. They're much better crafted.
And roof. Roof pieces.
And roofs.
Roof pieces,
Protect your shelters. Yay.
Yay.
I think another interesting thing here that you can see is, like, look at the rampart-like structures, right? So those are really great to be able to, like, hide behind a section and kind of peek over and shoot anybody that's approaching. Super valuable there. So let's look at another potential layout, right? These are all things that you guys are going to be able to do with these pieces, and not even all the pieces that we're using are represented here. So, I think the artists have done a good job of really mocking this up and showing, like, hey, like, you can build some really cool stuff. This is what we're really excited about, is the flexibility of the system. Half walls especially, right? Just being able to put those down, have cover objects, getting rid of, like, placing
Furnaces.
10,000 furnaces along the edge of your base to use as cover objects. Like, that's not going to be necessary anymore. So, and that's going to help with things like performance, but also you don't have the cost of placing 10,000 furnaces, right? It's just insane. So, another really, really cool base layout here, that we're pretty excited about. I mean, it's, again, you can do anything you want with these pieces, which is really cool. So the layouts are really flexible. Like, after what we showed you today, like, what really excites you about the system?
About
base building in
Gotta be
general,
careful
like,
here.
yeah, be careful. But like,
Be careful here.
but think about the context of this. Like, what are you excited to build?
To be completely honest, I'm more of a PvPer. I'm just diving into base building, but I'm super excited. The customization and being able to have windows and shoot out of your base seems like you could defend yourself a little bit better, because right now it seems like you just stand on the roof and hide behind those furnaces, and that's your only defense until they actually break in, and then you're right there standing in the corner with that shotgun.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's another thing that I think you brought up that is pretty interesting, is the concept of layered defense, right? So you can see in this base, right, like, he's kind of creating an outer perimeter.
Right.
Then they have some murder holes there, and now he's creating the core of his base, and potentially, second story, maybe we hide our loot rooms up there, different shelves and, like, access points for those areas, and just kind of building it up, right? So there's obviously a key entry point here, but players will find other ways into bases because it's going to move beyond gates. We'll talk about that some other time, but there will be definitely multiple entry points into these bases. So smart construction is going to be key, and I think it's something people iterate on, right? It's like you'll go through a couple attacks, you'll learn some things, you'll change some things out, you'll add some new pieces, and you'll get a better experience. That's what I'm really excited for, is the amount of learning the players will get. So. This is the core of it, right? Yeah. And then you move from that and think about, okay, well, what is it actually going to look like? So this is what we're driving for, and this is obviously the wood tier of the base, but you can notice some really interesting things here beyond the construction, right? You can see the punji sticks kind of laid out outside of the base. So there's a concept that we're adding called defenses. So you'll be able to place a number of different objects in a ring around your base to create a defensive perimeter. That'll allow for really interesting gameplay opportunities like funneling, and also people getting caught up on things like that aren't paying attention, and then you get to open your kill hole and shoot them while some grenades at them. So that's going to really add a lot of flavor to it. The other thing is the customization, right? Like, personalization is huge for us. I think you can really see that resonate both within JS and in King of the Kill, right? Like, people want to stand out. And in base building, that's something that we want to build upon. So you can see some of the items here, the signage, a couple of the drapes. There's heads on spikes. You've got some torches and items like that. That's a system that we really, really want to extend. We want players to feel like when they come back to their base, they're coming home. So that's really the gist of it. And I think when I see this, I'm like, yes, I can't wait. Like, I can't wait to get away from the base building we have and give you guys something that is really, really empowering, because I know what you guys are going to create is going to blow us away.
Yeah, the amount of creativity people are doing right now with the very limited amount of resources they have at disposal, I'm very stoked to see what people are going to be able to pull off. A question that got brought up a bunch was 3 stories. You able to build higher than you were currently
Yes. So we're looking at 3 stories as a starting point now. I think we're going to get a lot of information based on that. The thing is that for the base pieces, that'll be it. Like, extensions, potentially, like, if you're adding a water tower or maybe a defensive position, like, those might be able to expand past that 3rd story. That does a lot of things in terms of both gameplay variety, but also visual identity, right? Like, you can help your base stand out. So we'll look to push things like that. But in terms of core construction, we're going to start with 3 stories and see where it goes. Because it's like, this is an easily expandable system, but just as bases go way out in crazy directions now, and are like, you get the mega base problem,
or
we
the
don't
ATV
want
racetrack.
Exactly. Like, we don't want the Tower of Doom either, right? Because that presents its own problems, both from a server perspective and from gameplay. So,
will players be able to customize the outside of their base at all, like base skins or base painting in the future?
That's a really good question. So yes, so not only the customization objects that you're seeing on the outside here, but again, you have the tiered construction that we talked about last live stream, right? So I can move between different materials, and that also has huge impacts on gameplay, right? So if I have a stone base, obviously those walls and doors are a lot stronger than the ones that are in the wood tier. So definitely a lot to consider as you're building your base.
Okay.
Yep.
Absolutely.
So-
It's also
go for it.
I was going to say it's also worth noting that the pieces are going to end up being universal now, so you don't have to look for the second floor wall when you want to put a wall
Right.
in. You simply find the
Can
wall.
we go back to one of
and-
the?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
I'll rotate through this.
because the pieces right now, you've got your first floor and then you've got the second floor addition pieces right now. We're moving to a much more universal socketed-based system. And what
Right.
that enables us to do is develop a single piece that serves one purpose that can be used anywhere on the stronghold,
So like
wherever it fits.
how the artist is mocking this up right now will be similar to the way the players will create it in world?
No, almost in the exact same way, except in
Yep.
how it comes out of the inventory system. You want to talk about
correct.
that?
Yeah. Well, initially, it's basically going to be placed out of the inventory in the same fashion that you place anything out of the inventory right now. We are definitely looking at some future, probably UI-based solutions for this,
Yeah.
though, where the materials are simply deducted and you can place the piece out of a UI element in your window so that you don't have to continuously bounce in and out of your inventory to select different stronghold pieces.
Yeah, and that holds true for the rest of the game. Like, obviously, we're looking to really expand and improve upon the
Yep.
UI. That's something that we definitely are cognizant of. We feel your guys' pain there. We want to improve it, and we will. It's just going to take a little bit of time, but we're on it. But our goal right now is to introduce cool systems for you guys to play with, and then over time make them, again, more polished and more accessible.
Yeah. So this system is still definitely still being built.
Yes.
Still being built,
It
yeah.
might be a little while before players actually get their hands on this particular feature, but it will come to the test server first.
Yes, it will.
It will,
Alright, cool.
yes.
Another thing to note here, and I think you can see it less so in this layout and more in the next one. I don't know why it jumped, but, well, you can see it here too. So you can see the perimeter on the outside, right, where the player is entering the base. Players are used to right now, it's like I have to build an outer perimeter for my base in order for it to be secure, right? We're moving away from that. We have other solutions for that, and we want to give you as much flexibility as possible. So if you want to build like a little four-walled shack in the middle of your base pad and then surround it with landmines, go for it. It's still secure. Like, that's the idea, right? Is to give you guys as much flexibility as possible and to create interesting solutions.
Is it going to be similar to the way it is now where, and this might be a topic for a later time, but multiple people can build in a similar area?
Yeah, so again, like, you guys are used to the concept of having multiple people with base pad permissions, right? So that's something that we're extending and improving upon. So right now, like, you'll have a base pad. If you're associated with that base pad, then you have building permissions on it, right? So there'll still be the separation between, like, visitor who won't have building or destruction capabilities and then, like, someone who's attached to that actual base.
Yep.
Cool. Yeah, I'm really excited about this.
I am too, man. I can't wait to play this. Like, how are you feeling? You liking this stuff?
I'm so excited. We have some great things in store for you guys. Just gotta sit tight and be patient. I promise you.
Yep. So yeah, let's.
Is this the stronghold? So yeah, strongholds as a concept is base building.
Yeah, so
yes.
there's a
Yeah.
lot more to that, and obviously we'll go into the stronghold system in depth at a later time. But yes,
Right.
just know that bases are strongholds, but there's a lot of different components of the gameplay that we're adding and talking about there. So that'll probably be a dedicated stream
Yep.
in and of itself.
For sure.
Yeah,
We just
Yeah.
like that word a lot better.
way better.
Strongholds and base building. Yeah. All right. So you guys have any questions in the chat specifically about this base building concept you see in front of you? How are base permissions going to work?
In a very similar manner to the way they do now, right? Where
Yeah.
like you'll basically establish a leader for the base. Like the first person to purchase that and build it will actually be the owner, right? And then you'll be able to assign people to it. Ultimately, I think we'd love a system where you can have basically ranks associated with it, right? So like lieutenants basically have more permissions than your general members and stuff like that.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
I think that's a system like that'll go a long way. But in the interim, we're going to leverage the system we have and clean it up a little bit while we roll this out and get all the data we need to make it better.
Yep.
So people are asking, like, how far along is this process? Are you still in the design phase?
It is it's well out of the design phase. I mean, yeah, because as you can see here, like we already have all these pieces up. It's in the game. You can go into your inventory now, place all these pieces. You can do everything that's happening in this demo right now in the game, in the world. This is just a much better way of us demonstrating that, as opposed to like the third person camera where it's a really locked perspective. So. Yeah, it's in a really good place. We're basically at a point now where we're doing data tuning on it. We're starting to establish values for like damage and general health for all these things. And then we're looking to art it up. So the art team is, as you can see with the concept art here, right? Like they're already making serious considerations for what these pieces are going to look like.
Yep.
The tiered pieces.
Yeah, tiered pieces. And the thing is, like, Gio and his team are taking a very serious approach in terms of art direction. He'll talk about that, in an upcoming live stream, the tone, what they're trying to do. Like, this is a very serious process for us. Like, we were committed to doing it the right way. So I think the results of this process are going to be awesome. Like, you're going to get really, really interesting pieces to build your strongholds with.
Right. And I think, so, again, this is probably something we can cover at a later date when we talk more in depth about strongholds, but is this going to kind of get rid of that mega base of like 40,000 ground tampers?
Definitely not something we can talk about right now, but the short answer is yes.
Yes.
It's going to clean up the world a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, the system as a whole, the goal is to make it purposeful. We still want to give you guys actually way more flexibility than you've ever had. We just, mega bases create a lot of problems on servers, right? Like, you guys talk about frame rate. It's like most of that problem is actually driven by mega bases, right? So we have to control some of those things, but at the same time, we want to give you more options than you ever had so you can be super creative.
Cool. Awesome. Let's see. You see any more questions?
There was one a second ago, and then I forgot. What was it? So, what I will say is that there will be 4 base foundation types.
Repeat the question.
Oh, yeah, sorry. I keep forgetting that you don't have a mic.
There's Sarah.
Yeah.
On the side.
Sarah. Hi. So the question was, can you snap base foundations together? So basically, what I will say for now is that there are 4 different scales of foundations that you can have, essentially, right? From this size, which would represent the smallest size that we have, to the largest. And they will scale up, and even the smallest size will be bigger than the pad that we have now in the game. So that's what I can share for now, but there will definitely be a lot more later.
All right. Let's see. Basements? Yeah, I don't think we're going to get...
No basements. That creates problems.
We're in California. There's no basements.
That's true.
In California.
No basements. Sorry. Another thing we can say, though, is that the placement of these is going to be very different. These pads aren't going to be lifted super high. They're basically going to be flush with the ground. So we're going to eliminate the problems of, my vehicle falls through my base tamper and I lose it. Or, like, there's dudes hiding underneath their base and we can't get to them, but they can still kill us. Like...
Yeah, that's actually, in that picture, that's actually accurate as far as how high it'll be off the ground, roughly.
And actually, it might be a little higher than it actually is.
Yeah.
I mean, it's going to be pretty low to the ground because, again, like for us, it's about the flexibility on top and around of the pad, not so much like, I'm building up to this giant ramp. Again, like ramps cause problems with vehicles. Like there's so many issues that we'll alleviate with this system. So that's why, I'm really excited to implement this and move forward.
Yeah. All right, let's see. What else do I have on here?
No other questions, really?
I
can't believe it. We probably can't answer.
How many tiers, types of base building? We can go to. So that we kind of discussed that last time. We're starting with 3 tiers.
Oh,
right?
yeah,
so
We're starting
wood,
with
metal, and stone are the base.
Yeah.
But again, that's a very expandable system. And there are a lot of things that you can do. I mean, look at the sandbags, for instance, and the punty sticks around it, the barbed wire. These things we want to add to make those tiers even stronger, right? Mm-hmm. So and more defensible.
Farming. I guess we can move into a little bit about what's on test server right now and the patch that's coming.
So the patch, as I mentioned, has a lot of fixes in it. Two of the more important areas to me that I worked on were getting the crops working. That includes moonshine as well. So moonshine, dude, you gotta have your alcohol, right?
It's very important.
So those were reliant on an older system that was not ticking correctly. So your crops should be growing at the proper rate. If they are fertilized, they're going to grow much faster, and your moonshine should,
be delicious,
manifest and be delicious. On top of that, the cooking elements also got a little bit of a behavior workover. They weren't consuming fuel correctly, and there was quite a bit of jank associated with how their behaviors were working. So
Jank is a technical term.
jank is a very technical term, yeah. So we've eliminated that. They'll consume fuel correctly. When you light them on fire, they'll eat a piece of fuel and spit out either coal or ash, depending on what they've consumed, and they'll then burn for a certain length of time, depending on which piece of fuel they consumed. And that information is all in the item tooltips as well, so you'll be able to see what you're putting in there, how long is this going to work for me.
Nice.
Yeah, I think as an overarching point, expected outcomes is big for us.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
If I take an action that feels like something should happen in the real world, as best as we can, we want to make sure that the reaction that comes from that is expected, right?
Yep, absolutely.
There are a lot of dead ends right now in the game, and we're doing all we can to eliminate those and populate that with smarter choices.
Yep.
I had a question. I don't know if you could answer it. If you demo a certain piece, you know how they all snap together. Can you just place another piece right in its place?
No, you cannot.
Can't get into
Wait,
that?
well, so you
don't-
mean
we don't have to get into that.
destroy one of those?
Say, like, I don't want a window here anymore. I want this to just be a wall. Can you just demo that and snap another thing like a Lego?
Yeah,
You
yeah.
can,
So there
yeah,
may be
there's
some fallout for that.
circumstances,
But yes, you will be able to, like, they're not permanent. I have the ability to use a tool to go in and knock this down and replace it with something
Okay.
else. Yeah.
I think right now it takes, what, like 10 hits to knock down
The
a wall?
demo hammer, stink.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I will change that.
Maybe a little bit faster. That'd be great.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
things
Yep.
we can make better.
Yep.
Lots of them. There was another one that I thought was really interested was zombies. Will zombies be able to attack your base? I think that's especially for PvE, that's big, right?
Absolutely,
if I'm a base
yeah,
builder in
absolutely.
PvE, like interactions with zombies are really important. I think that's super interesting. And yes, we are already working on that right now. That'll probably take some time. The early stages that I've already seen are very promising.
Yeah, and a big part of that is the pathing update for zombies.
Yeah.
That's on test. That will be in our next update,
step
which
one.
enables them to actually move over different things. Otherwise, you could stave off a base invasion with a curb, basically, which doesn't
right.
really work. So
That's not super exciting.
yeah, yep. But yes, definitely.
So I see like one or maybe two people talking about cheaters and hackers in the chat.
Just a couple.
Just want to let you guys know, it is we take it very
Yeah.
seriously.
Covert ops, though, we can't.
Yeah, we can't talk about it.
don't-
It's Fight Club, baby.
Yep.
Like you got to
We
keep
don't-
that under wraps.
we
The
don't
more we
give any
talk about
details.
it, the more they'll be able to counter it. So
Something that's important.
Just know
though,
that we
is-
are aware of it.
Yeah, we
and,
absolutely are aware of it. We
taking
hear
care of
you
it on our
guys.
end, yeah.
For every one of you guys saying we're not listening, I'm sorry, but we promise you we really
it's a
are.
huge issue.
It's a problem
Yeah,
for
we
us.
get
We
it.
don't like it, and we are actively combating it.
Yep. All right. I think with that, we will move into our last
Ooh.
little sneak peek. And
Secret time.
Yeah. So, okay. I mean, this is great, right? I think these systems are awesome, and all the improvements that we make in the Just Survive universe will serve you guys really well and make for a better game. And ultimately, that's what we're aiming for. But one of the biggest things that's holding us back is the environment, right? So I think we can move forward with something pretty exciting there, which is we're going to have a new map for JS.
Yep.
It is a real thing. So this is just some concept art of the kind of verticality and terrain variation that you're going to see in that map. You can see a stronghold in the distance. What does that mean? That's pretty interesting. But we're a little further along than that, Greg.
Yeah.
We're actually in the world, and this is, as of earlier this week, kind of a section of the map that isn't even nearly as detailed as some of the stuff we're working on.
Yep.
But it's in really good shape. We are crafting a purposeful gameplay environment for you guys, and all this stuff coming into that world, is going to make a huge difference. And it's one of the biggest things our design team pushed for from day one, and we're really excited to share it with you.
That's
Very
right.
excited.
And we will leave you guys with that. We hope you enjoyed our stream and tune in for the next one. Be sure to follow our channels on Twitter. Check out our Reddit page, our Discord channel. All those things can be found if you go to H1Z1.com.
One last good thing.
Oh, yeah?
A great question in there. Somebody asked, is this Z2? No.
No.
This is a custom map
No, it is
for
not.
you guys, and that's all I'll say.
Just Survive is getting a brand new map. And with that, everybody have a great rest of your week. The weekend is upon us.
Enjoy it.
And we will talk to you guys later.
Bye, Ninja Squad.
Flex it up.
Flex it up in the chat. You guys should all flex it up.
Definitely not.